Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to do something a little different. We've been drawing, we've been coloring, we've been cutting. We're going to do some three-dimensional artwork today. Now, we usually do clay in art class, but seeing that we don't have our art room and everything's a little different now, I thought maybe you could use some stuff around the house to make your own clay. Now, it's called dough, but it's kind of a version of clay. It's called salt dough. So your moms or dads or grandparents might have this in their house, and we're not using a lot. Now, you could use a lot more than me, but I didn't want to use all my stuff, like maybe, and your parents might not want to use all their stuff. So I made it in a very, very small amount. If you wanted to make it bigger, I would highly suggest looking up on the internet a recipe that allows your clay to be a bigger amount. So we are going to do some salt dough today. And what do you think's in salt dough? That's right, salt, right? So we have flour, salt, and a little water today, and that's going to make us some clay. So you could make some clay today and build all kinds of things. However, I know that first graders, if you know me, you know that I have a first grader at Lookout Mountain School, and they are studying insects this week. And so they are creating and coloring bugs and doing all kinds of fun things. And I learned today that bugs are not insects. That's a completely different thing. So I actually made a insect today. I put some wings on him. I even used pipe cleaners for his legs. Now, I know he's not colored. We have to let this clay, this dough, dry out. So he's going to have to sit in the sunshine and dry out before I can paint him. But I wanted to show you what I created. You can do anything you want to with this dough. You don't have to do an insect. You can do an animal or a dinosaur or whatever you want to do. So let's go ahead and get started and create our clay. If you'll go ahead, and you're going to need a tablespoon. The tablespoon, and you can't see it on mine, but it's TBS is short for tablespoon. You're going to need a tablespoon. You're going to need some salt, some flour, some water, and something to stir with. If you want to use a spoon, great. I grabbed a popsicle stick and a bowl to mix all this up. So go and get all your stuff and come right back with me. All right, let's do this. So first we're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. So we're going to take 2 of these and dump it in here. I've already done it. I feel like I'm on a cooking show. So this is 2 tablespoons of flour. Go ahead and dump that in there. And then you're going to need 1 tablespoon of salt. That is a whole lot of salt, right? But we've got just 1 of these. Pour it in. Now I like to take it at this point and kind of mixy. Stir your salt and your flour all up together. Okay. Now, the next part, very simple, is we're going to add one of these of water. And you want to do this really slowly because we're going to have to make a dough, almost like you're making biscuits, right? So I'm going to pour this in slowly and mix it up. And you can see it right away. It doesn't really do anything. Pour a little bit more in here and see what's happening. This is kind of like a science experiment. That flour and that salt is starting to clump together. Now, I will say that you might need a little bit more water than 1 of those, just a little extra. Sometimes it's better to make it a little wetter, a little gushier than normal because your hands will dry and your hands will dry out the clay. Now at this point, you can start to use your fingers and kind of mix that together. And this is called kneading. And it's going to put all the dough together, the flour and the salt and the water. So you're going to kind of get in there with your hands, see what I'm doing, and pinching it, right? Now, if you feel like your dough your clay is too crunchy, too crumbly, you can always add a little bit more water, but be real careful with that, because if you add too much water, it'll be way too sticky and runny and it won't work. It won't stay together. So see what's happening? I'm starting to get some clay, some dough. See how it's all sticking together now? Now, it is a little crumbly for me, so I'm just gonna put a doot of water in there, kind of press it in there, and that will help it get a little bit more stuck together. You're still gonna have to knead it a lot. The dough really needs you. So I'm gonna mix, okay, until I get the consistency that I like. I don't want it to break apart. It is gonna crack a little bit. See if I can get closer to you. Okay, but I'm just gonna kind of use my hand, squeeze in one hand, squeeze in the other, squeeze in one hand, squeeze in the other. And it's really starting to come together. Get a little bit more water on it. And I'm talking like small amounts of water. You don't want this to be, you might even just dip your finger in and just kind of put a little water on it like that. And that will. So now we are getting a dough shape. Whoop, I almost dropped it. See? So we have a good amount of dough. All right, guys, so let's create something. So I created the insect, but I was trying to think of something different. Now, the problem with this dough, this clay, is it's going to be hard for you to build up, right? So you might want to work flat. Usually, if you're in my classroom and you're using my clay, I'm not going to want you to work flat, two-dimensionally. I'm going to want you to build upwards, and I'm going to make you create your bug or whatever it may be, so it looks like real life. But this clay sometimes doesn't hold up that way. You're more than welcome to try it, and it might work for you. Depends on how dense and how rough and tough the clay is. But we're going to make it flat, which I kind of make it. Sometimes I say, oh, well, it looks like your animal or your bug or whatever you're creating looks like it got hit by a car, but that's okay. So that's how we're going to do it today. So we're going to take this, and I always keep a little cup of water next to me so that if my clay does get too dried out, I can just kind of dip my fingers in it, add a little bit to it, and it'll kind of bring it back to life. So we're going to make a butterfly. Like I said before, you don't have to do a butterfly. You can create whatever you want. You could do, you could make fake food. If you like to play restaurant, maybe you can make cupcakes or pies. That'd be kind of, donuts would be really, really cool. A donut would be so easy. You'd roll a snake, connect them together. Donut instant, right? We might have to try that. But I'm going to make a butterfly. So I ripped off a little piece of clay and made my head, right? And then I ripped off a bigger piece. And I'm going to take this little ball and roll it into a snake, right? You can roll it on the table. You can roll it in your hand. If you notice, see how I'm getting a little crack right there? I might take a little bit of water, make him feel a little bit better. So I'm going to roll him into a snake. You can use your hands. You can use the table. Sometimes this clay does not want to do this, right? So don't be impatient. Be nice to him. Remember, clay sometimes kind of gets moody. So you have to be real patient. So now I've kind of rolled and squished out a snake, right? So I'm going to attach that to the head a little bit. You can see. So I did learn today that bugs have heads, thoraxes, all kinds of fascinating things I learned today. So we've got the head, we've got the body. So I have this leftover clay. I'm going to bust this in half. Try and get it equal. Now, the cool thing about bugs is they're symmetrical. That means what's on one side is going to be the exact same thing on the other side. It's called symmetry. Some of you guys have already learned that in math. So whatever's on one side, we have to do it to the other side. Now, once I have these two balls, because I'm going to be a little different, I'm going to take them and bust them up into two others. So you can see we're already symmetrical, right? We have 2 round balls on this side, 2 round balls on this side. We're already symmetrical. So now I'm going to take this, set it aside, take one of these, and I'm going to kind of start to flatten it out. Now remember, our dough is starting to dry out, so you might need a little water. And I've rolled it into a ball, and I'm just going to kind of flatten it out. I like to do it slowly. A little pinch and spin, and I'm going to do a pancake, right? So the more gently I spin, pinch and spin, the flatter it gets, right? So that can be turned into a wing, but I'm going to make mine, might pinch it up a little bit here, make it look kind of like, oh, now see what's happening? It's looking like a teardrop. I might change it up, and then that can go right there, right? So whatever I do on one side, I want to do it on the other. So I'm going to take this guy. He might need a little water. And I'm going to start to pinch and spin. And if it cracks and breaks, it's not the end of the universe. Add a little water. And I'm going to try and measure, a little bit more pinchies. See how I just kind of slightly laid it on top? So I know about the same size. There's my other wing coming along. So now I've got my 2 others. Dip a little finger in the wok. And I'm going to try and make these look a little different. I don't know. Do a little pinch and spin. Maybe. Now you could turn this, doesn't have to be a butterfly. I just thought about this. You could do a dragonfly, right? Dragonflies have bigger, longer wings, and they're closer together. They don't do their whole entire body, right? They kind of are way up high. That'd be kind of cool if you did a dragonfly. I always forget about dragonflies. They're kind of neat. All right, so maybe right there. Ooh, yeah, I'm liking that. Little water on him. He's dried out a little bit. Pinch and spin. And this is like the perfect amount, right? Of clay or dough, whatever you want to call it, to make a little animal, right? I really like the donut idea. I should have done that. Make some donuts. You could paint them. Oh, donuts are so much fun to paint. Candy, you could make candy. So look, now I have a butterfly, right? Now I also have pipe cleaners. If you have pipe cleaners in your house, they're super fun. You can cut these and make their antennas, right? So you could add to this. Now remember, we have to let this dry. You can actually bake it in the oven for a little while. That kind of helps. Or you can just let it dry out in the sunshine. Today is a beautiful sunny day, so I might let her go sit in the sun, do a little suntan, a little baking in the sun, and then when she's hard, you can bring her back in and paint her, and you have a beautiful clay project. So enjoy, create anything you want to create. Ask your mom and dad if you can borrow some flour and some salt, and make your own clay today. If you forget the recipes, just look up salt dough on the internet, and there's tons of ways to do it. But I just used 2 tablespoons of flour, 1 tablespoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of water, and I made my own clay. So create, have a great day today, and enjoy the sunshine. See you guys later. Bye.